Hello everyone. It is Jackie with Pocket of Preschool, and I am super excited you're here with me on this amazing Wednesday night. So tonight, this Facebook Live is going to be all about ideas and inspiration and some freebies for you for a My Body and Teeth theme that you can do in your classroom. I know I do. Some people do like a My Body theme in the fall around Thanksgiving and talk about like healthy eating and keeping our bodies healthy. And then some people do it during like when it's like earlier, like September, around Community Helpers time. And some people do it later in February around Dental Health Month and all of that. So in the comments, could you put, do you do a My Body theme and then a health theme, or My Body and then a teeth theme? Or do you do a My Body and teeth theme? So I'm just curious what everybody does. So put in the comments what you do, if you do them separate or if you do them together. But tonight I'm gonna give you ideas for the My Body theme and a teeth theme. So that way you are ready to go, whether you do them all together or if you break them up and you do it separate. So tonight, just like every night, what we're gonna do is I walk you around my half-day preschool, and I have an in-home preschool, and I'm state licensed. I taught full day in a public school for 12 years before this. So I'm gonna flip the camera around, show you guys what we're doing, and then I have extra activities that we may not get to that just are really fun that you can do for a teeth and a My Body theme. So I'm gonna flip it around and we'll get started. Okay, so as you can see and pretend, we have a grocery store, because what better way to practice making healthy food choices than having a grocery store and pretend? And you can find this grocery store, all the printables, in my Teachers Pay Teacher store, and that link is at the top. So I'm gonna kind of give you guys a tour of the grocery store. So I have it kind of divided into sections. So this is kind of like the pantry section, and there's a lot of sorting at the grocery store. So we have kind of the boxes at the top, and then we have cans, and then we have bottles and jars. And I don't know if you guys have watched my Facebook Live before or not, but my trick with making empty containers, you can tell this one's a little rough, the paint all slid to one side, but I just squirt some acrylic paint inside the food bottles and shake them up. And then the bottles look so much more inviting for friends, and they're a little bit more recognizable if the color kind of matches what it is. So that's my little trick, and it's also great for environmental print. There's all kinds of letters and things like that on here, or on your real containers. And if you're building up your dramatic play, grocery store is a great one, so you can kind of get lots of empty containers, because actually I have parents and the families bring in food. This is our first week, so they haven't brought in very much yet, but our shelves will be stocked by the end, and it's so much fun. So we have kind of our boxes and our cans, and then our jars and bottles. And then I'll tell you about that stuff up here in just one second. And then this little table up here in the front is kind of like our produce section. And this is actually just two of those LAC IKEA tables, just Velcroed together. And that way I can use them apart or separate. And that way if I use them together, they don't separate on me. So we have the produce, and it's not fancy, you guys. It's just lettuce, it's just the paper. And then I think it was last year, the kiddos helped me make all the different veggies with pipe cleaners, and you can use pom-poms. I forgot to grab a pair of tweezers. I usually have some tweezers up here, so that way I can add some fine motor, but they take their veggies and they just put them in a little bag, and then they can weigh them just like they do in the produce stand. And you can tell there's lots of sorting by color here, which is fabulous. For some more math, they're sorting by color and they're weighing, which is more measurement. And then over here, this section is kind of the frozen food section. And this part can get a little tricky for kiddos, because they're like, well, does it go in the frozen or does it go in your refrigerator? So, and then our refrigerator, I'll open that up. So we have milk and cheese, and then you can totally just put some I just cut up some white paper and washed out the cheese bag. So that way we have shredded cheese. But yeah, so that's kind of the refrigerator section and the frozen food section. And then to add lots of literacy, my shoppers can make shopping lists. You can tell some of them did them today. Some kiddos are doing that, just the random letters. Some kiddos are just drawing. I have a multi-age, so I have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. And then I have baskets, which I just got from the dollar store. And then ads, and then these come with my printable pack, and then you can also just laminate real grocery store ads. And then for the daily specials, I will not have this out until we're actually having grocery store for all of, for 3 weeks. So I'll put this out next week, but I'll just put out some chalk and they can just write what the special is. And if they want to use the ad to kind of help them with that, they can, or they can just write whatever or draw. And then we have our cart parking. And actually this is, since it's around Christmas time, you guys might be able to find some grocery carts cheaper. Like this is an off-brand. I just found it this year. It was like 20 bucks, 25 bucks, I want to say. It was like at a farm store since I live in the country, but it's not Melissa & Doug. It's like an off-brand. But I mean, for 20 bucks, you guys, that's awesome. Because I think the Melissa & Doug one's like 50. And then this I got 1 year after, like holiday clearance for like a couple bucks. And then we got our checkout stand, which is, I want to say that our checkout stand is Melissa & Doug. And then we do have some candy, which I just have empty wrappers. So candy. And then for the receipts, to get kiddos writing, I don't know if you can see, but behind the cash register, there's a number line. So that way they can write the numbers. And then our grocery store gave me a whole roll of stickers. So they love stickers. So they put a sticker on the receipt. So you can see our big roll of stickers, which makes, checking out so much more fun when you get a sticker. But adding the receipts is a great way to encourage them to count out the money and to write those numbers. And then I actually don't have this out this week either. We'll save this for next week. But these are sale signs, so they'll just write on dry erase marker how much things are, or they can just tape it on different boxes and mark that things are on sale. And then they can also make price tags for things, or they can use the ones that already have the numbers on that. And I just have a little dry erase marker, and what I'll do is I'll just put masking tape and a pair of scissors in with this. That way they can do that. That way the poor cashier isn't just checking out. They have lots and lots of extra things to do. And then there's an inventory list, so they can go around and count how many of each item we have, and then there's numbers at the bottom to support that. And then I know everybody always asks me, how on earth do they put everything away? Because especially when you get towards the end, our grocery store is stocked. Like it is very full of everything because the kids have brought in so much stuff. So what I do is I just have this pop-up hamper from the dollar store. So after they put everything in the cart and they check out, they dump everything in here. And then when the cashier isn't busy, the cashier's job is to sort all of this out and put it back on the shelves, or you can have a stalker or like a clerk. So that way they can sort everything. And I know a lot of people ask me, like, do I let kids buy the whole store? And I do, because it's a great way to problem solve through and figure out how much is appropriate to buy at once. Like, should they buy like 2 carts full and then never put anything back? So usually what will happen is sometime that first week we have the grocery store, everything on the shelves will be gone and it'll end up in that hamper. And the kids will be like, oh, there's nothing on the shelves for me to buy. And I'm like, well, what are we gonna do? And I help them and we problem solve through it. And we talk about how, you shouldn't buy, just buy your cart full and then put it, and then, let somebody else have a turn, or, be the cashier and help to put everything back. So normally we only do pretend for 2 weeks, but this month, I think it's 3 weeks, I think. I have to look at my plans again. So that is our grocery store. And then you can see on the back too, I just cut out some boxes just to have some more environmental print up on the wall, because I try and put things on the wall to kind of make the space more inviting. Okay, let's go to my library center. So I have my writing table set up with the new themed word cards, and I have uppercase at the top, and then I have the lowercase set down here at the bottom, and I have the themed paper. And if you go to the dollar store, I actually got these this month. They are like a red and clear like glass jewel thing in the floral section, and we're just using those to make the letters. Or they can either build it with the glass jewels, or they can write it with the dry erase marker and then erase. And they're like different like body systems. Oops, sorry. And then we have like the skeletal system, and then I also have like a boy and a girl, so they can compare like what's inside of people. So that is at my writing center to kind of get them going, and you can tell they are using them because they're not all the way erased, which is totally fine. After the unit's over, I go through and I make sure they're all erased. And then if you're doing a tooth theme, if you have these letter tile manipulatives, they kind of look like teeth. So why not bust those out for your teeth theme? Or if you're doing, you're talking about teeth that day, and make words with, you can call them your teeth letters if it's something you already have in your classroom. I think I want to say I found these at the dollar store a couple, maybe like a year ago. So every once in a while, the dollar store will have these letter tiles. So be on the lookout for those. And then I have my books. And if you go to my blog, www.pocketofpreschool.com, there's also a link at the top. You'll click on grab the freebies. I have a book list for my body theme, and I have a book list for a teeth theme with all my favorites. In those book lists, you guys, I make sure that I have either read them before or I read the, like do a YouTube video of them. So they're really good books on those book lists. They do take me some time to make. So they're not just like random ones I pull off the internet. But I fill my bookshelf with all kinds of fun health and teeth books. And the teeth books, you guys, are kind of hard to come by. I thought this one I found was really good, simple text. It's Why We Go to the Dentist by Rosalind Clark. And it's really simple pictures with simple words. And it's great, but it's diverse too, which is, I love that. And another fun one, if you want to, like a simpler one, and I know it's a board book, guys, but it's Hello Genius, these Michael Dahl books. It also has, I want to say this is from the same author that Monkey Calms Down, but this one is Pony Brushes His Teeth, and it's super simple, so it'd be really great for like a 3-year-old, or if you have a friend with special needs, this would be great for them. But like Pony eats a lot all day, just like his dad, and it talks about how they have to brush their teeth. So it's super simple, and it's a thick board book, but it is awesome. So never count out those board books. And then I have a whole bunch of other ones on Healthy Me. And I also use this opportunity during the Healthy Me theme to talk about sleep, because preschoolers think that sleep is not important, and kindergartners. So a book like The Napping House is a great book to talk about why sleep is important and how your body needs rest to heal and grow and build those muscles. And then this one is also great. This one I actually just got from Scholastic, I want to say last month. It says, I Just Want to Say Goodnight, and it's this little lady, and she lives in a village, and it talks about how she says goodnight. So it's a fabulous book about how even though you can live in different places, like everyone says goodnight, and sleep is important for every child. So I love those two if you want to talk about sleep. And that one, like I said, is in Scholastic. And Napping House is in Scholastic a lot too. Alrighty, so moving right along. So part of being healthy means to exercise. So why not exercise and count those syllables? So we did this actually as a transition on Monday to introduce the game, and my kiddos are loving these syllable games. So they got to pick a card from here, and I actually just brought this whole thing over to my circle area, and I just put out like 3 at the bottom. And I didn't have push-up out, sorry. So I was like, okay, pick a card, and then they got to pick if they would jump, squat, or tiptoe to count the syllables. So it was just a fun, different way to use their whole body to count out those syllables. And there are other options too, like hop and jumping jacks and push-ups. So just make sure you got room in your classroom to do those. But they're really fun. And then these, along with all of my other My Body printables, are in my Me and My Body and Teeth 2 Math and Literacy Centers pack if you want those. And then I also have these boo-boo rhymes, which they have been so much fun. But I just put in an empty Band-Aid box. And you could also use real Band-Aids and do this with letters. And just write letters on the Band-Aids and just make a letter game with them. Use a real Band-Aid box. But this one is just rhyming. And I have Velcro in the middle. So like 10, pen, pen, pan, fan, can. And then they get to put it in the Band-Aid box when they're done. Sometimes it just takes a little fun prop to make a game more exciting. And then I have bone beginning sound clip-it cards. And I saw a teacher on Instagram actually put out dry erase markers, so they clipped the beginning sound and then they traced the letter with a dry erase. So that was a fun way to add in some fun handwriting. 2. All right, I have more math. I have oh, nope, that's it. That's some of my fun literacy ideas for the My Body. And I'm gonna do probably the teeth at the very end. So here is what my art shelf looks like this week. Because everybody always asks me, like, how do I have these activities out? And you can tell that's my library shelf. So those are the 2 activities I have out for library this week. And then I have a Play-Doh tray in art. And believe it or not, my kiddo's dentist donated these tooth savers to us. And they're really fun. The kids are like sticking Play-Doh in them. They're making like a mouth with the Play-Doh. And then these are from Amazon. They're just itty bitty tooth savers. And they're making a mouth and they're sticking the cavities in. You can tell there's Play-Doh stuck in the middle. And some of my friends have caps on their teeth, so they're pretending to put caps on their teeth, which is adorable and great fine motor. And then there is, I just put in some of that plastic string for floss. And this is from the dollar store. And then if you want these little teeth, these are so much fun. They're great like teeth manipulatives. If you go to the top of this post and click on my favorite things on Amazon, you will find those there. And then our art choice this week is Q-tip. Well, I'm calling it bone painting. So they're painting with these Q-tips. And these trays are just from the dollar store. And so how I store it is, it's just up here on the table or on the shelf. And then if they want to do it during art, they can just put it on the table. But it was actually our morning arrival activity. So here's what some of my friends made. Some of my friends did dots. Some made lines with the bones. And then some made like little pictures. So they really had fun with it. And it's great fine motor because look at this. They have to pinch and color. Some of them even were writing their names in them and making their names with dots. And then the other choice I have out this week in art is they're making skeleton self-portraits. So this is actually the skeleton printable. It's from my science pack. Oh, goodness. My science math and literacy pack. I'll pick that up later. Or not my science literacy pack. My science My Body pack, which is also linked at the top. But I just put this in, and if you have the literacy pack, there's a skeleton game you could just put up. Or you can just put up a Halloween skeleton. You can put that up at your art easel or just print off a skeleton off Google Images. And instead of putting out white paper, use black paper and just put out some white paint or chalk. And then they can make skeleton self-portraits. Like, look at this one, you guys. He has like the little ribs. Look at that. Aren't those adorable? And they were like feeling their ribs as they were making these, it was really cool because they're like, well, what bone do you think, do we have a bone inside our arm? And they were like feeling their arms, and there were different parts of their body as they were making them. So that was really fun. We actually did this instead of journals on Monday. We made skeleton self-portraits. So, but if you want some other fun ideas for art, if you're talking about germs, grab some of these from the dollar store, and they can just do a loofah painting, and it makes beautiful, beautiful textures, and it's you know, just put out a little tray and they can just stamp the loofah. And then if you are really daring, grab, this is just some shaving cream I put on a tray. And this will just be like a fun sensory experience. And this is just some red liquid watercolor. And then just take the end and kind of swirl, they can like swirl it around. And then if they want, and you can pretend it's kind of like blood. And if this grosses you out, like, or if this will gross out your kiddos, don't do it. But it depends on your kiddos in your class, if you could do this one or not. But I have a tooth one, I'll show you in a minute if this blood one kind of grosses you out. But they can just use this is one of those mini popsicle sticks. They're like half size of a regular popsicle stick, but they can just make designs in the shaving cream. You could even put out a cup of water with eyedroppers, and they could drop like red colored water in there, and you wouldn't have to have a whole bottle. You could just put out like a little cup of water and they could do it. And look at all that great fine motor. And then at the end, you just toss it in the sink and wash it. And these trays, because I'm sure everybody's gonna ask, these are from Discount School Supply. They're the colorations trays. I think they come in like a 12-pack. They're linked on my Amazon at the top of this post too. Do I keep Lauren asked, do I keep the same things out all week? I do. So I'll have like the skeleton self-portraits and the Q-tip painting or the bone painting, and then the Play-Doh tray will be out all week. And then next week I'll put out something new as the nude art activity. Unless they love it, then I'll keep that out. Like I'll just put like another activity like right there. It just depends on if they're still into it or not. And one way to save this so you don't have to keep remaking the paint trays every night, throw these away and then take saran wrap and just cover like this whole tray. And that way, you can save this paint and you're not throwing away and wasting tons and tons of paint. Now it'll probably only last like 3 or 4 days, maybe till the end of the week, depending on how much they use it. But that way you're not wasting a ton of paint and you're not spending your time cleaning and washing paint trays all week. That's my tip. And then if you don't like the blood and guts one, this one, doesn't it look like toothpaste? How fun is that? So I just squirted green and blue, what's it called? Liquid watercolor. And I just use the coloration stuff from Discount School Supply. I love their liquid watercolor. And then they can use the end of a toothbrush and they can just swirl it around. And then if you want to add literacy, I have these letter beads, and if you guys watch my Facebook Lives, I use these for all the things. We don't even really use them for beads. They can throw some letters in there, and then they can get them all messy. And then if you put out like a cup of water or like a little bowl of water on another tray, they can brush the letters clean, which would be just a fun way to get some literacy into a sensory experience, or it would just be a hands-on letter game. So it's totally up to you. Oh, who makes, okay. So sometimes, somebody's asking about the Play-Doh, I think. So sometimes they do totally get mixed. And the white, I'll be honest, it won't last. it'll be pink probably by the end of the week, which is fine. But I usually try and put out similar colors. And if they get mixed, they get mixed. It's not a huge deal. But sometimes I have kids who like it separate and I have kids who mix it up, and either one works for me, honestly. It's not a huge deal. And then somebody's asking about these paint trays. These I found at the dollar store in the art section. Maybe like 6 months ago. So just watch for those at the dollar store. I think you can find them at like Discount School Supply too. And if anybody's asking about this tray, this green one, it's on Amazon, and I linked it in my Amazon favorites. All right, so that is some fun stuff. And then for our bodies, we have our fingers, right? So why not use your fingertips and do tons of math and literacy activities? So this is actually a free printable, one of the freebies on my blog. So go to the top of this post and you can download this. We did this today for small group. And it would be a great thing to put in their portfolio. And you can totally tell where my friend lost one-to-one correspondence, but that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, totally fine. It just shows kind of where they are, which is perfect. But they dotted, oh, and then the reason why there was so many on the one, she goes, oh, that one's 10. And I was like, oh, that's 1. And she's like, oops. She's like, can I wipe those out? And I'm like, it's fine, no worries. But yeah, so they just took a stamp pad and they dotted it on with one finger. And I always call this their magic finger, and because we use it for counting, and then if we do fingerprints or things like that, yeah. And then you can also do fingerprint patterns, and these are just sentence strips I just cut in half. And this is a 3-year-old that did this one, and these were actually from my own kiddos did this last year with me, and then this is a kindergartner. So you can definitely see the difference, but which is fine. But they were just making patterns with with their little fingers. And I just keep baby wipes close, that way they can wipe off their fingers. And these, I wanna say, are from Discount School Supply. They're just giant washable ink pads. And then my trick to these is if they run dry, all I do is and you can kind of see it, hold on. I can get it off. You can kind of see the squirts, the like circle in it. So mine got dried out because I think I've had these like 2 years. I just squirted some liquid watercolor in them, and then I just sprayed them with water and then kind of went like this with my finger and squished it around, and it got, it made the ink pad kind of reactivate. And I basically just put new ink in it. So yeah, so if your ink pads dry out, don't throw them away. Just put some liquid watercolor in and spray some water in it, and you are good to go. And then you can also do letter fingerprints. So again, this is a 3-year-old, and this is a kindergartner. And then I actually had them stamp the letter first so they could see it, and that way they could try and make it with a model, because it's hard to make fingerprint letters. But it's all of these things are great. They're great fine motor, and these would actually be fun for All About Me theme too, if you don't have time to do it during a My Body theme. So, oh, I forgot to tell you. So another fun book that I love for the grocery store it's called Put It on the List by Kristen Darbyshire, and it talks about this little chicken family, and they make a shopping list. And it says, like, we had no toothbrushes and toothpaste. Mom, chickens don't have teeth. And then on Wednesday, they had cookies but no milk. So they made a shopping list and they went to the store. And it's just a fun book about making shopping lists. And it's really silly, because at the end, I think they run out of toilet paper or something. And so it's funny. And then after that, we have the kiddos for small group that day make their own shopping list. So that's really fun. Do I make sure my kiddos master all the uppercase before I move to lowercase? And we just really focus on making those uppercase letters the first semester, first half of the school year. And then in January, we really start kicking in on those lowercase, just to make sure they're making the letters correctly, and like starting the letter at the top and things like that. I just make sure that we got it down and that motor memory is intact, which motor memory is just making the letter in the correct way. That way, at least hopefully most of them, they're making the correct way before we move to the lowercase. So also in my Math and Literacy Centers, it's a Measure Me class book, because you guys have been telling me you want more class books. And if you don't have this printable pack, you can still make this in your class. Just measure your kiddos with blocks, and then I just printed the picture so they could visually see them with how tall they were, how many blocks, and then they made a page. And they can do Austin is 8 blocks tall, and work on that one-to-one correspondence as they read those words. And then this one's kind of obvious, but you can always do a healthy, not healthy sort, and just use pretend food, and talk about what, not healthy, healthy. And you can do this for a teeth theme or a like My Body theme. So I was trying to think of a fine motor activity, and I saw these glass jewels, and I was like, oh, how fun would it be to make like your heart rate charts, and they could trace them with the little jewels. So I just took some red paper, and I made different types of lines. And if you want to, you could even show them like a picture of a heart rate monitor, and excuse me, and they can make the different lines with the beads. And if that is too easy for them, then have them make a pattern with, I'm out of clear ones, but have them make patterns on there too. So that's fun. So if that way you can differentiate for all your kiddos. So they can either be just tracing lines or they can be making patterns. And then another fun thing to do, I'm gonna check the time. I have a lot of activities for you guys tonight. So measuring. So what better way to measure than to grab all kinds of things that keep us healthy, like a small bottle of toothpaste, a big bottle of toothpaste, toothbrushes, different size bandages. I think these are like a little I think this is like a broken thermometer, little like toothpicks, or what are these, floss picks, I guess. But just measure all these different things. And you can either use connecting cubes, which I meant to grab before the video, but I forgot. So you can either measure them with connecting cubes, or if you have a Math and Literacy Centers pack, you can measure them with these Band-Aid rulers, so that like this one would be 1, 2. This one would be 2 Band-Aids big. And then why not measure, kind of like the book over there, have them measure different parts of their body. So measure how long their leg is, or their hand is, or their arm, or their foot. So just measure their big toe, and just measure all their different parts of their body, just for a fun measurement experience. And then, for the My Body theme, I think it's kind of hard to find manipulatives. So I'm using Q-tips like crazy, and these I just cut up. So for this game, they just roll the dice, 1, and they put that many bones on the skeleton. So they would basically, 1 again, build their skeleton as they rolled the dice. And if you have kinder kids, you can have them roll 2 dice. So roll the dice, add it, and put on the total. So for a fun game, because like I said, I think it's the manipulatives for a health theme are a little scarce. And then our sensory tub, which this one took me a minute to think of, but it is just, and I don't know why it's glowing, guys. It's like so bright now. I just took some white rice, it's really bright, and then again some of these glass gems, and they're pretending this is blood. And then I found tooth mini erasers on Amazon. And then these little handy tweezers, since you have hands, so for a My Body theme, I thought those would be fun. And then mini tongue depressors or popsicle sticks. And then these I found actually in during Halloween. So I got them back out for the My Body theme, because it's basically all the parts of the skeleton. So they have been filling up the skeleton with the rice. And they've been hiding, oh, and they did put some eyeballs in here too for extra fun. And then these, I know everybody's gonna ask me, these are just baby food containers. So there's short ones and then there's big ones. So if you don't have a baby, I saved all of mine when I was pregnant. I about drove my husband batty. But you can either just buy some, or if you have a mom in your class, just have her bring them to you, and I'm sure she would not mind. Or have a dad bring them to you, whatever. Whoever, just a grandma, whoever has the baby, have them bring you some extra ones, and they are fabulous for the sensory table. And it helps them open and close, and match the lids up and things like that, which is great fine motor, especially since I can't even do it on Facebook Live. There you go. So that is a fun sensory theme for the My Body theme. And then for the Science Center, this one I wanted it to be interactive, but I thought, oh, it's gonna be tricky since it's a My Body theme. So I have some x-rays, and all the printables are from my Body Science unit, or you can just, I know you can print these off Google Images too, but just put out different x-rays, and they can use the magnifying glass and really examine all those bones, and they can build a skeleton, and then they can either put out a baby doll or they can like label themselves. Like if you put Velcro on the back, it sticks to clothes. So that's really fun. If they would like be laying on the ground, then they can label each other to talk about all of those body parts. You could also put the healthy food sort at your science table. And then for added fun, I just have a skeleton so they can actually move all the bones from Halloween. I just kept him out and now he's part of our My Body thing. And then I have 2 stews out right now. So this is the tooth stew. And if I just added this like 2 weeks ago. So if you own the stews, make sure you download it again for this update. So basically, if you don't know what stews are, is they pick a recipe card and they make the recipe. So they would do 3 switches of mouthwash. 1, 2, 3. And then they would put it in the pot. And then 4 teeth. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 x-rays. And these are included, the little, and look at that, there's the cavity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or a filling, I guess. And then they mix it up, and then it's just a really fun counting game. And then I also have a doctor stew, and so we have some little germs, which I just hot glued eyeballs on, some bandages, which I just used felt to make those, and then vitamins, bones, hearts, and then tongue depressors. So yeah, so just some fun counting games. And again, I added these about 2 weeks ago. So if you own the Counting Stews bundle, go download it again for your update. And then in the block center, I have all kinds of food containers we're building with. And then I just have them building kind of like places that have to do with food or that keep them healthy, like they go to school to keep their brain healthy, a farm, and the stores where food comes from, or where they can either comes from or where they can buy food, and then a playground and a park are things they can do to stay healthy. And then I just have some veggie math counters, some fruit math counters, and can you tell this is what we have for snack? We have yogurt for snack. So I just have some of those out to build with. And then I have lots and lots of cereal boxes to build with. And then we have cans. And then my kiddos love these things. So, and my mom buys them for them like crazy, so I just keep them. So whatever food you guys buy for you or your family, and there's a fun container, just keep them for the block center. So yeah, and I've had families donate the cereal boxes over the years. So yeah, and then I just fold them up, and you can tell they're taped together, and they've been taped together a few times. I just tape them together, and then I untape them, and then I fold them up and keep them for next year. So that way I'm not collecting cereal boxes every single year. But it's just something fun and different to build with, and it's different. It's a recyclable material, which is, it's also fun to do during like an Earth Day theme too. I want to show you now all of the fun teeth things. So we're focusing mostly on like a My Body this week, and then next week we're gonna kind of infuse teeth things. So let me show you the fun teeth themes I have for you. Teeth themed activities I have for you. So for a sensory table or a sensory bin, I don't know why I wish I knew how to turn that off. Okay, so this is just rice I dyed with liquid watercolor, and I made teal and green and blue. And you can tell there's glitter. Oh, my hands are dirty. Oh, probably from showing you the art stuff. There's glitter. Can you see it? So okay, if you're not a glitter person, don't sprinkle glitter in here because it'll drive you bonkers. But what happens is the glitter sticks, you can't see it because it's so bright, but it sticks on the teeth, and so the kiddos have to brush the glitter off the teeth. And then for a fun container, I thought, why not use a mouthwash bottle? And then if you don't have a mouthwash bottle, they actually have some at the dollar store. You can just buy and use. And then I just have a big old funnel. And these are like those little shot glasses, but don't they look like little mouthwash glasses? And then they can just fill up the bottle with rice. And then they can even put the teeth in. And these are those tooth savers I bought off Amazon again. So yeah, so something fun and different to fill up rather than, you know, bottles all the time in the sensory table. So save your mouthwash containers, basically, is what I'm saying. So if you want to keep the rice theme going, in my body centers are these little teeth letters. You could totally easily make a writing tray out of them and just put it in the writing tray, and then they can write it with the toothbrush, and then look, they can brush it clean. So how fun is that? Or these little cutie pie kids come with it, and so there's 3 different levels, and these are for all of my like build a sight word or build a letter game. You can always just match the uppercase with the lowercase, or if you have itty bitties, just match 2 uppercase, so T and T. But you could do matching just uppercase or uppercase with the lowercase, or you can do names, or you can do sight words. And look at this. Then when they're done, they just brush it clean. So, and there are, you can get toothbrushes like in the 2-packs and 4-packs and 6-packs at the dollar store. Oh, somebody said, why did I cover the mouthwash label? Okay, so this is like a Listerine bottle, and I covered it because like part of it came off and part of it didn't. And you know how sometimes it's like that sticky residue when you try and get the label off? I couldn't get the label off all the way, and the rice was sticking to it, so I just covered it with tape. So like you can see the back of it still on there. But yeah, I just covered it with tape because that residue was on there. So yeah, and then if you're asking about these trays are actually from either Melissa and Doug lacing sets, or like right now they're in the Target dollar spot for $3. That comes with a lacing set, comes with this, and like the laces come in there, but I love them for writing trays. You can also just use like a pencil box, and that way it has a lid, or any kind of tray you want to use. You can use for a writing tray. And then to keep the fun theme going, so over there I did for the My Body, we did the little heart rate monitor. So I thought, why not make like big ones on the table for them to do? So I found these teeth mini erasers on Amazon, and they're linked, and I can put them in a minute. And then I know like our dentist calls sugar bugs, but you can call these cavities or sugar bugs, and they can just either trace the line with either the sugar bugs or the mini erasers, or again, you can have them make the pattern. So that's a fun, fine motor activity. This would be something that I would do for like table time. And again, the little teeth mini erasers are from Amazon. And then I have a number cover, so they would roll a dice and then, color it. And then once they color all the numbers, which would make the cavity, they can brush it clean with the toothbrush. And again, the toothbrush I just got from the dollar store. And all the teeth activities are in the My Body Math and Literacy Centers pack. And then these are some more freebies for you guys. So I know a lot of people love doing the like painting with the toothbrush. So I made a free printable for you guys. So you can either use white paint and then put the glitter on and make it sparkly. And instead of using a paintbrush, they use a toothbrush. And then I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of like a puffy paint mixture. So all it is it's equal parts shaving cream and glue. And it's kind of like a fluffy mixture when they brush it on, and then it dries fine. But it's a little fluffy, so that's kind of fun if you want to use like a different kind of mixture than paint. And then just kind of like the fingerprint graph, we have a tooth graph. And if you are allowed to have snacks, you can totally use these mini marshmallows and make your tooth graph with mini marshmallows. Or you could stamp them, like dip the mini marshmallow, or that you can pretend it's a tooth, dip it in paint, and then they could stamp it. Or these I just put on blue paper and laminated them. And then we're gonna use these, and then they get to have them as their snack. And then if you can't use food in your classroom, use white pom-poms, or you could use cotton balls. And kind of like we did all the fingerprint activities, you could do the same thing with marshmallows. So you could pretend the marshmallows, or you could use pom-poms again if you can't use food in the classroom. But they can stamp patterns with the marshmallows and paint. They could stamp patterns, and they can make a graph. They can make letters by stamping the marshmallows. So the options are endless again for the making things with your teeth or the marshmallows. So these are a fun counting mat, and I know you guys have been asking for those, so I made you guys another one. But they pick a card, and where's my erase marker? And they would write it. So they count how many teeth. So this one has 6. So they would write it, and then they could draw 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they would make it, and you can either use, again, if you have a tooth manipulative, you could use tooth manipulatives, or you could use white pom-poms, you could use mini marshmallows again, and then they have to find it at the end. And I like having these at the bottom. That way, if they need help writing it, that helps them out. And then again, you can erase with a toothbrush. Just make sure you don't use your toothbrushes for your teeth after you're done with this unit, because they're gonna be all gross. And I actually, at the end of the unit, I just throw the toothbrushes in the dishwasher, and just sanitize them all to get them all nice and squeaky clean. Although we do just keep them for art in the classroom. I do have teeth activities in my Body and Teeth Science unit. And I think somebody was saying this earlier. So if you want to have a tooth activity at the science table, you can either use an egg carton, or somebody said use a white ice cube tray. But I washed mine after. I did wash this in case there was like salmonella or anything on it from like a broken egg or something. So just wash your egg carton, and then they can use Play-Doh to stick in between. And then, where's my floss? Oh, there we go. They can use plastic string. I can't do it one-handed, but we'll pretend. Plastic string to get it out. You can pretend it's like the food is stuck in your teeth. And then they can color cavities on and then erase them. It'll erase better if you could hold on to it. But they could erase it with the toothbrush again. So that would be a fun thing in their science center. And you could put, how fun are these? So I put some dental x-rays in your science center. And it's really neat to see kind of all of them and kind of how your jaw fits in and everything. My kiddos were like amazed. That's like their favorite part when they go to the dentist is the dental x-rays. Okay, so at the end, what we usually do is I open it up for questions. I open it up for questions, and that way if you guys have any questions, I can answer them for you. Oh, and I also wanted to tell you, so we actually went to the dentist like 2 weeks ago. One of my little guys went to the dentist. And while we were there, I asked them to donate things to us. Now, I'm sure if you ask them during dental month, like in January, February, they're probably gonna be overwhelmed with people asking for donations. So they might say no then. But they gave me like tooth savers, and they gave each one of my kiddos like a little bag with like mini toothpaste in it and a toothbrush and floss. So just ask, because I mean, all they're gonna do is say no. So yeah. And then somebody else is asking, do I model things before I put them in center? So if it's like a new game, like the Boo Boo Band-Aids, like we've done games similar to that. So I didn't have to model that one. But if I see students struggling with it or not knowing, like if I see many not knowing how to play it, I'll model it, or we'll do it for a small group sooner rather than later. But at this point in the year, a lot of my games are similar enough to where if they played one, they kind of know how to play another one. Like I have a lot of like roll the dice and put that many on, like the skeleton game, like roll the dice and put that many bones on the skeleton. We kind of played that as a pumpkin game, like roll the dice and put that many pumpkin seeds in the pumpkin. So some of those are kind of similar, so I don't have to model those before I put them out at this point in the year. But if it's like a brand new game, or if it's like that tooth math mat, I would definitely put that out for small group first, and then I would put it out in centers. So yeah. And to my stews, we've played them so much, then they love them. I don't really have to introduce those anymore. I just kind of say, oh, we have a new stew, and I just put it out on the table, and they love it. And I don't have to model it or anything at this point in the year. So yeah. Do my dental health theme like during the My Body theme. I've never done it separate in February before, but that might change next year, because it was a really fun unit to make, and to do the blog post on it was really fun. So, but I've always done it with a My Body theme. I've never done it just by itself. So how do I store all my materials? So I'm gonna flip it around and I'll show you. Believe it or not, I can fit almost all of them. And this one doesn't have a label on it, but it usually has a label on it right there. All of them, the math and literacy centers in here, I can fit almost all of them in there. I do keep like these glass gems, I'll keep these separate with all my manipulatives, but all the printables lines, I'll put all of that in here. And this will be all for the My Body and Teeth unit. And then I have another one over here for the science unit, so that all the science will be together. And then I keep all of the dramatic play. I keep all of that I don't use over and over for other themes in a copy box. And I have a tour of my entire classroom where I show you all of my storage, and I will pop that link in after this. And there's also at the top of this post a list of my past Facebook Lives, and if you click on classroom tour, and I think there's even an organization one, that'll tell you more how I organize everything in detail. I think I did it for like an hour and a half. So yeah. Other than that, you guys have a great night, and thanks for joining me on this fabulous Wednesday night, and I hope you guys have an amazing week. Enjoy your week, the rest of the week. We're past the hard part, and you guys have a great night, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.